This is how it all begins, here on the CFS Story. It's been 1 week since I uploaded my first video, and before I say anything, I want to thank all of you who watched my video, and especially those who took the time out of their day to leave me a comment. The amount of responses that I've gotten is simply incredible, and I want to thank you all for taking that time to write me and support me in what I'm doing here. I honestly appreciate it. Some of you have brought up the very legitimate point that I haven't made myself clear yet about the structure of this vlog, and that it's therefore a little bit hard to understand what I'm actually trying to do here. This is fair enough, and you all are right. I have not made myself clear yet, and I also have not explained why you should be watching my videos. So let me explain. While most vlogs here on YouTube focus mostly on teaching you a new skill or giving you the latest news on the newest technology or lifestyle, I am trying to do something different and far more basic. What I want to do is share the things that excite me and present them to you in a way that they become useful to you or at least entertain you for a while. In a talk that I've seen recently, someone said that the question is more important than the answer, and this sentence has stuck with me. In showing you how I am trying to figure out life, I hope you'll be able to find some of the answers for yourself to the questions that we are all struggling with. If I am able to live up to my own expectations, you should be watching my videos because they might help you to find your personal answers to the question of how to live life to its fullest potential. The CFS Story is a vlog about routines, habits, and the question of how to live a good life. I will not pretend at any point that I have figured out everything or anything. And I will also not refrain from putting in these little chunks in my videos that are completely random and don't follow any structure. What I can promise though is that I'm going to try my best in finding a structure that is easy to understand and that makes it pleasurable for you to watch my videos. So this is my promise and this is what I'm trying to do, and before we are only talking about the structure of this vlog again, let us jump right into this week's vlog. So I thought that I would start this whole thing by talking a little bit about routines and habits in general. What are they, why I'm so excited about them, and why you should be probably start building some of them yourself. The way I define habit is pretty much stolen from Wikipedia. A habit is a certain behavior that is regularly repeated and that in most of the cases occurs subconsciously. Whether you want it or not, we all have habits. And most of us are very unconscious about the ones that we do have. So for example, just think for 1 second about what it is that you do first once you wake up. Do you get up right away or do you check your phone first? And if yes, if you do check your phone first, which app do you open first? I am 100% sure that you all have this little morning routine that does not change dramatically from day to day. We all have habits, and in fact most of our day is organized around those habits, is dominated by those habits, because they help us to get through the day without having to constantly think about what we're doing right now. Just imagine how annoying it would be if you would have to remind yourself constantly about certain things. Just think about you would have to remind yourself to eat, or to drink, or to breathe, or if you would have to reimagine your way to work every single day because you forget it every night when you sleep. We have habits because they help us structuring our day, and the best thing about them is that they leave our mind empty and free for all those things that are important to think about. However, as you probably know, not all habits are good. We all have things that we would rather like not to do. How often have you been thinking about quitting smoking or stop chewing on your fingernails or I think you can at least come up with 3 things right now that you are constantly doing but that you would like to get rid of. So then the question is, if you are doing things that you would like not to do, why are you still doing them? Well, the answer to that question is because it is extremely hard to do. Once we internalize something, once we are doing something very subconsciously, getting rid of it requires us to first make it conscious and then replacing it with a different and more desirable habit. And that is just extremely difficult to do. And as frustrating this can be sometimes, there's also something really positive about the fact that it's so hard to get rid of a habit. Because once we have established a desirable habit, one that we really want to have, it starts getting easier every single day that we do it until we get to that point when we stop thinking about it and just do it. So let me summarize this first part. First, a habit is a certain behavior that is regularly repeated and that most of the time occurs subconsciously. Second, we all have habits, good ones and bad ones. And thirdly, while getting rid of the bad ones can be really hard, it becomes increasingly rewarding once we have established a new one. You're probably asking right now why you should go through all that habit hassle in establishing a new habit if it is so difficult to do. Doesn't it require way too much of your attention and constrains you in your everyday life? Well, as you can guess, my answer to that question is no. If we choose our habits wisely and become very conscious about the unconscious structure of our day, we are able to achieve quite the opposite. In fact, the 3 goals that I pursue with my habit design are: first, repeat those behaviors that make my life and the lives of others more meaningful. Second, avoid those behaviors that make me or others unhappy. And third, maximize the time that I have to do all those things that excite me. I have talked to a lot of people about my habits, and something that I quite regularly hear is that people think that I live an extremely strict life that is full of rules that somehow seem to limit me. But what I think that they are misunderstanding is that their lives are not habitless and they're not guided by some of rules. They are, in fact, heavily guided by a lot of unconscious behaviors that they repeat to do if they want it or not. And I think the big difference is that what I'm trying to do is become extremely conscious about all those things that I regularly do, and to take control in choosing what kind of habits I want and design some of them myself. My experience is that the more habits I adopt that help me or guide me through my day, the calmer and more satisfied I become, and the more time I have for all those things that I really enjoy doing. Based on what I just said, I believe that constantly working on yourself is the best way to find satisfaction in life. Habits and routines have changed the way I work, the way I live, and even the way I dream. And building those habits and routines creates great joy for me. I think the very important point here is that we will not always be able to change our environment, but what we are always going to be able to do is change ourselves so that we will be able to cope better with a difficult environment. In the next 99 videos of this vlog, I will over and over again talk about habits and also about all those things that I am still struggling with. Some of the things that I will cover are about why it is important, or at least helpful, to get up extremely early in the morning, why it can be really a great idea to start a journal, how to get started with meditation, and one of my favorite things right now, how building certain habits can even improve your friendships. Okay, so I hope this has made much more clear what this vlog is going to be about, and I hope that you've enjoyed watching and that I could somehow spark your interest in following this. Before I end, I just want to remind you that there are 2 ways to subscribe to this channel. One is the red button under the title down here, and the other one is the logo in the lower left-hand corner of this video, right there. Thanks for watching and see you next week.